Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hopefully, I have gotten those technical difficulties figured out. I apologize for starting a little bit late. That was weird. Uh, we love technical difficulties, reminds us that we're human, right? Something like that. Silver linings and everything. Hi, I am Lindsay Smith. I am a partner success manager here at Supered, and this is Get Supered 101. End state of this camp is that you understand all of the assets within Supered, maybe not a full understanding, deep understanding, but hopefully a good understanding of where everything can be found and specifically how you can put your content into Supered cards and deliver them to where your team and your clients are working. Now, a couple of housekeeping items. Again, apologies for those technical difficulties. That was, if you could have seen me, if my camera was on and I was cussing out my computer, sailors would be proud. The platform that we use was not at fault. It was my computer. The platform that we use is called Contrast, getcontrast.io. They are a fantastic partner if you are in the market for a webinar platform, but a couple of notes on how their chat works. On your side, it will look immediate, but on my side, it takes about 10 seconds for it to show up. This is designed to not interrupt the speaker's flow as we're going along. If you're familiar with me and you are familiar with how I like to run my meetings, I like to be interrupted. I hate having a fill of a scripted anything. ADHD problems, right? So if you have questions as we're going, please ask them as they come up. There is no need to wait. Definitely ask them. The other thing is that this, I like to say, is a little bit interactive, right? So follow along as we go. As we create content, all of that. So go ahead and log into your Supereds. If you are in the camp of what I like to call my Supered curious, you haven't quite signed up, maybe you've seen all of the pink over on LinkedIn and you saw this registration link and you just thought, hey, I'll pop in and see what happens. It is free to sign up for a Supered account. Just about everything that we go through today, you will have access to. So go ahead and log into your Supereds. And I'm still having technical difficulties. I'm not going to cuss out, though, because this is recorded. But I'm feeling it. If you know, you know. Okay. Let's if at any point something freezes, you can't hear me anymore, anything like that, please put it in the chat. And hopefully I don't get fired for language. Okay. Welcome to Supered. This is our homepage. Every account has a customizable homepage. You can edit your home. You can add in content panels. So you can add in videos. You can add in links to webinars, trainings, Miro boards, Lucidcharts, anything that you need your team to see right when they're logging in. It can also be a housing for when you are updating your cards, your content. It also can keep a running log of what cards you have viewed, just depending on the content panels that you would like to put into it. This is the portion of this camp that I like to call Tour Guide Barbie. So we're going to go through each of these right here. Tasks are one of our newer assets. Wow. That I've been thrown off my flow. Okay. Tasks are a new asset within Supered. You are able to assign tasks within action plans for your users, for your team, for your clients, anything like that. We will have a thanks, Christopher. We will have a separate camp dedicated entirely to action plans, how you can create them, best practices around them, how they can be both onboarding, everboardings, perfect training modules, just ways that you can help manage your team. We'll have an entire course dedicated to that. Right underneath that, we've got updates. Updates are the way that you can push in-page announcements to your team as they are working where they're working. I like to pause on that because I do love that a lot. How Supered uses that, and you'll hear this phrase a lot in this camp of how Supered uses Supered, because obviously Supered uses Supered, and if we use Supered as a drinking game, everyone would be going to the ER. I say Supered a lot. How Supered uses Supered, right? So how we use updates is we have Supered active everywhere that our team is working. So LinkedIn, our G Suite, everything, literally everything. If you think about it, if it's web-based, Supered can be on it. Our CEO pushes his his Friday thoughts to us that are, things that he's seen that has worked really well, things that he wants us to work on. If there are certain accounts that he wants us to go and interact with, SurroundBound, all of that good stuff. You can push those in-page announcements. Other really great use cases for these are if you have, if you're turning on a workflow for a client, and you want them to know before it turns on and automations go live. If you have provided them something new within one of their accounts, if anything like that. Below that, we got process rules. Process rules, guys, are like 60% of the reason I work here. Don't tell anyone else. They are ways that you can do process enforcement within HubSpot. They are a HubSpot specific asset because we love our HubSpot partners a whole heck of a lot. And we do have a separate camp for those as well that happens on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So definitely go sign up for that if you have not, where we do a very deep dive into process rules, how they can transform the way that you and your team are utilizing HubSpot, how they can keep your data clean, all of that good stuff. All of those buzzwords that people like to hear. Moving right along, we got analytics. That's for your data nerds out there. This is an insight into how your team and your clients are using Super. So we have cards, how often they're being used, how often they're being viewed, all of that. We've got search analytics. So that is specifically for Sidekick, which is the Super Chrome extension. If you have your team members searching for specific content within Sidekick, this will give you kind of the search term. If something came up, if there was a click through, it will also give you bad search terms. So if you have people searching for something and nothing comes up, it will give you that information too, that gives you that insight into what your team or your clients are looking for. So it does help you to mold your content to what they need, which keeps you sticky, right? Utilization specifically for if they've logged in, if they're using the extension, that all of that good stuff. And then we have the guide utilization. Guides are another super asset that we'll cover in this camp. This is how often it's being used, if it's being finished, that kind of information. So you can kind of see if your content is landing. And if it's not, then it gives you that really good opportunity, that really good insight to be able to mold it and craft it to what your people need. Packages, we have a camp for that. I feel like I'm that shady person in college. I have a guy for that. Packages, we have a camp for that where we go deeper into how to build them, how to deliver them. This is a partner-only feature. So if you are in my camp of Super Curious and you are just joining us now, you're just finding out about us. If this is something that is interesting to you, absolutely let us know. We'll get you in touch with our sales guys. They're always happy to talk about how we can upgrade your account to have this. What packages are, really the only thing you need to walk away from this camp knowing with packages is they're a delivery mechanism. They're the way that you can get all of your goodies into one place to deliver to a client. So if you have managed accounts you want to be able to deliver multiple things to, this is the way that you can do it with packages. Another partner-only feature is this partner button, where it's the hub for managing those managed accounts. Managing managed accounts. Yeah, that works. This is where you can manage your accounts, your partner packages, as well as Super Studio, which is where you can access things like the knowledge base really quickly, product ideas. So if you have something there, like it would be really cool if Super could do this, absolutely jump into product ideas, submit it. It goes straight to our engineer team so they can see it. They can see what our users want. Something that's pretty special about Super, other than any other company I've ever worked for, is that our engineers are very plugged in to what our users are wanting. So our users really do craft our product versus what our engineers are like, I want to build this because that sounds fun. I mean, they do that too, but mostly it's what you guys want. All right. We're going to move into bases. So fun thing with bases, if this is your first time logging into Supered, if you click on the word bases, you probably have like a box up right here. The user interface will change when you have 3 or more bases created to give you this list view that's a lot cleaner than just a bunch of tiles. Your what's the word? Default base will say Supered, but you can change that name. You can also add as many bases as you want. There is no limit to the amount of bases that you want to put into your Supered account. So the biggest question I get asked when I am talking to a new partner that has signed with Supered is, what is the difference between bases and packages? That's a great question. If you have that question, you are in such good company. The difference between bases and packages. Packages are, again, remember, your delivery mechanism. That is all a package is it's the way to deliver. Bases do a lot more. Bases are your housing. They are where your content lives and breathes. It's where you can organize your content in ways that make sense to deliver. It's places that you can keep all of like your guides, action plans get created in bases. So basically, if you're creating it probably lives in a base, right? So what we're going to do today is we are going to create a base together. So have you hit create base? So if you clicked on bases with me, you'll have this button. If you are still kind of in one of these up here, if you hover your mouse over the word base, the color for mine is, it's like black, so it's really hard to see on the blue. You hit create base right here. I am the worst at naming things. I'm not clever when it comes to naming conventions. So mine is usually get supered and then my date, which, guys, we are flying to the end of the year. It is the 21st of November. You can name your base and you can give it a description if you need to, give a little bit more context. You don't have to, that's not required. A couple of things on this screen right here. We have hide content in Chrome extension and archived. The difference between the two of these: hide content in Chrome extension will pull triggers and cards out of Sidekick, but they will still be live and active within your main Supered. You'll still be able to see that content. Where this is useful is if you are working on multiple bases that have multiple cards, multiple content that kind of overlaps with each other, but they need to be separate. And you want to see if your cards are working for the one that you are currently working on. So you can hide the content in the Chrome extension. Archiving is something that makes my scarred millennial heart happy, because I hate deleting things. Sorry, I got a weird pop-up. I hate deleting anything because what if I need it, right? What if I need it? So my closet looks the same way, guys. I don't throw away anything. I mean, what if I need it? So you can archive it. What archiving will do, it will also pull out triggers and content, but it will also hide it within the base list. So within the list of your bases within Supered. Still gives you the opportunity to be able to go and find it. And I will show y'all how you can get to it once we get through creating and all of that good stuff. I get asked a lot of questions on this applications. Right now, this is pretty much geared towards HubSpot. You are not required to select an application for stuff to be shown first. It's really kind of just like a HubSpot partner thing. And then access control. Access control is fantastic. If you have content that you don't need your entire team to see, you only need certain people to see it. Like within Supered, we have a base specifically for our leadership team. That is the access controls brought down to those on the leadership team. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't want to know what's in there. I'm good. I do not need to know. I don't even know where the bodies are hidden. Come on. What is it? Plausible deniability? Just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. That's a joke. So if you need to bring it down, so specifically if you want to think of the ways that you're using it, if you have leadership content that you don't need anybody else to see but your leadership teams, if you have content for like HR, right, people operations, that really not everybody but your HR team needs to see, you're able to do access control for these bases. Okay, we're going to create it and then it should pop into a list. We'll go into it. Great. We have get started. What does get started do? It immediately creates a card for you. Other ways that you can create a card is with that big plus button. When you are approaching your bases and you're thinking about how to organize, because that can be a pretty paralyzing thought for a lot of people. My counterpart, Ashley, she is the organizational queen. So every time I say something like that to her, she's just like, why is that hard? But if you're me, organizing is kind of hard. What you can do is like your base is basically like your master folder, right? If you're thinking like in Google Drive feature, or if you're thinking in your computer drive, anything like that, your base is your master folder. So you have your master folder, and then you can create subfolders within it. You can create nested folders if you'd like. You can also just create a card. It will go into a no folder structure. Other options that you can do within a base, again, bases are where you create. You can record a guide or create an action plan, but let's create a card together. This one you can call demo, you can call test, you can call yay, call it whatever you want, because, we're demoing. If you have a real life use case, absolutely go ahead and do it. If you have like specific cards that you're wanting to put into, like you want to embed into where you're working, great. We're gonna learn how to do that together, right? Okay. Any questions so far? I guess I should ask. talking at 2x speed for 20 minutes. All right, perfect. Okay. Cards should feel familiar with the way that they're created. They should feel like just about any word processor that you've ever used. You can put in your rich text, all of that. But where cards get really powerful is when you can put in and embed your video content. If you have video content, such as Looms or Vidyards, YouTube videos, anything like that. If you have like PDFs that you would like to embed into another website that you're wanting to work on, that your people are working in. If you have my brain just stopped. Miro boards, Lucidcharts, anything like that, you're able to embed them directly onto a card. So that's where they get really powerful. I'm going to put some meat in this, give it some time. The other thing that's really cool with this card editor, this is our editor 2.0, is the backslash into your keyboard commands. So we have all of the things that you can put into a card in this list right here with our keyboard commands if you backslash, right? So images, videos, iframes, anything, right? So if you can iframe it, you can put it into a card. I used to make a joke of if you can build it, they will come. Field of Dreams. My dad used to make me watch that all the time. Okay. So the first place that your cards will live is within Sidekick itself. So when we come into Sidekick and we search, hello, we have our demo card. Ta-da. So that is where those search analytics come into that we just saw of that search phrase that I used. It was a good search. It brought up the card I was looking for. So you can search for any of the content within the card or the title of the card itself. Second place that cards live is with the embedded content, right? So I'm going to use LinkedIn as my example. And these right here are embedded cards, right? So we have all these pink things hanging around, pink icons hanging around. This is how you can embed your content. So if you come back over into your super account, come to triggers, take that guy out of here, go to triggers, create trigger. What this is going to do is it's going to pull the title of the card automatically as your first trigger. If you don't need it to be that title, just delete it out. Let's say that this card is dedicated to how my company wants to use the My Network tab of LinkedIn. So I'm going to use my phrase as My Network. A couple of things with triggers and how they work. They are not case sensitive, so you don't need to worry about that, but they are space sensitive. So if you add additional spaces, either before, behind, in the middle of a phrase, it will break the trigger. It won't work. It won't be able to find what you're looking for. So if you have something that you're like, I know this is spelled right. I know Super is enabled on this page. Why isn't my trigger showing up? Double check that you have first spelled everything correctly, because we all go typing too quickly, and that you don't have any additional spaces that are not needed. The other thing I want to point out here is you can change the icon. So if you're not a white label, one of our white label partners, you have access from the Chevron up, right? So you can do Chevron, InfoStar, Fire Plus, boom. Love it, right? If you are a white label partner, you're able to add in your custom icons, right? So even GIFs, right? So that's our Super Jam logo right there. That's a little bit of a GIF, dances a little bit. It's kind of fun, a little eye-catching, right? So if this is something that's interesting to you, you want to check out white label, definitely let us know. Again, our sales guys are always excited to talk white label upgrades. One more thing is this visibility. You are able to bring it down to very specific pages. If you have only one page of a website that you want this trigger to show up on, you don't want it to show up everywhere, you can restrict it to just that page. The way that the trigger works, because Supered is a Chrome overlay, it will trigger everywhere. So anywhere that I have Supered active and these words come up, my network comes up, it will bring up that icon. So if you have something that is very specific to, say, LinkedIn, you can bring it down to just that URL. You can also bring it down to specific audience members. If you're a Super partner and you're wanting to use this for your clients will need to be on one of our Scalar Pro seats in order for this feature to be live and active. So that's something that's interesting to you. let us know and we'll talk through it further. Okay, we're going to save that trigger. We're going to come back over to LinkedIn. I'm going to refresh my page. I'm going to pop open Sidekick again, let it load. And there's our icon. Easy peasy, super quick, right? So say you're in the flow of work. You're nowhere near Supered, right? You are only working on like, I mean, I'm using LinkedIn, but whatever web-based, whatever website, y'all. It's because I'm talking at 2x speed. So what's happened here? I'm over caffeinated. I know I am. All good. So say you're in the flow of work, right? You are in your groove, but you run into something. You're like, oh, it would actually be really great if I had a Supered card for this, but you don't want to break up. Like, you know, what you're in a good groove. You don't want to break that up. You don't want to jump back over into Supered or reopen Supered or anything like that. You can create a Supered card directly from Sidekick. So in Basis, you can create a card by hitting that plus sign and create a card. And in here, it will give you all of the bases that you have. So you can select which base you'd like to put them into. And it will load the folders if you have a folder structure within that base as well. So for example, if you're working in HubSpot and you're creating, you know, lifecycle stage or a workflow or something, right? And you're like, I need to define this for my client. You're able to create that card, decide what base it goes into, and pick the folder. You can also create a trigger from the extension as well, and you're able to type in all of this. It's the full card editor here. Other ways that you can create cards directly on this space that you are working without having to pop back over into Supered is if you highlight the text and right click it. Now, the sharing permissions that I have on this, it's not going to show my little iframe that pops up, but you do get that iframe. If you're familiar with Chrome extensions, there is a section of that right click menu that is all of your Chrome extensions. Sidekick will show up there. Scroll down to Sidekick. And it gives you the option to search for the text or to create a card off of the text. So if I hit create card, it will pop this up. And that text that I highlighted becomes the title of the card. So 3 ways you can create cards. Back in Supered, you can create from Sidekick, or you can create by highlighting and right-clicking and going into it that way. But we don't need that. Okay. Cool. So let's talk other aspects of Supered, shall we? I'm gonna exit out of stuff. Although if there's any questions, absolutely let me know. I haven't seen any come through, so I think we're okay. All right. So we've talked bases, we've talked cards, we've talked folder structures. Let's talk guides. So in this same base that we created together, we're gonna hit that plus sign again. Or if you want to do something directly into the folder, you can hit the little plus sign. And we're going to record a guide. What this is going to do is it's going to pop open a window for us of all of the tabs that I have open. So as you are going through your processes and you're like, I can do a step-by-step guide on this, and they are lifesavers, let me tell you, you can create a guide for it. So we want LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn because it's a safe thing, right? I'm not going to accidentally show company secrets on LinkedIn. And if I do, oops. So what that's going to do, it's going to pop us into that screen. And over in Sidekick, it's going to have, I like to call it a click counter, but it does more than that. It's like the step counter, I guess. We can call it step counter. From here, you will go through your process of what you're doing. So the most simple example I like to use for my HubSpot peeps is like connecting your email. How many times have you told a client how to connect their email, right? Just in your career of being a HubSpot partner. Probably a lot, right? And it's possible you have had to explain that to multiple people within that client's company. So if you have a map, a guide, you're able to just sort of give that guide to them and bing, bang, boom. They have a step-by-step. Did I just say bing, bang, boom? Yes, I did. Anyway, we're going to give this a couple of clicks here. We're going to come in here, go to home. Anyway, as we were clicking, you saw that the click counter over on Sidekick shows up, right? So we have 4 steps here. We have a check mark, which is if you are done and you are ready to save it, move on with it, edit it, all of that good stuff. We have a pause button. So if there is something in the process that you need to pause in order to put in maybe some sensitive information, such as a password, a username, something like that, you don't exactly want it to record those keystrokes. You don't want it to record those clicks. You are able to pause your recording. Or if you either forget that it's going, because I've done that, or it's you don't need it, you're just like, actually, never mind, you can just cancel it. But we are going to say yes. We're going to name it. Again, I'm sorry for my really boring naming, but it's not like I need to name it this way so that I can find them to delete them so I don't have a super cluttered demo environment. Okay. Other things in Sidekick that you can do is you can give it to a folder specifically within the guide. You can change the folder within the guide. Wow. Folder within the base. You can change the base as well. So if you started creating this and you're like, actually, it would make a lot more sense to put it into this base, you can do that here as well. But I'm going to go back to my 1121. We're going to create the guide. It's going to pop us back into Supered. Kick that out of here. And this is where you can edit your guide. So if you hit edit, there's a few edit features that are really, really useful to know. So on the ones that are just text, you are able to change the step title. You can change the URL, but a quick note on that is it has to have, so if I deleted it entirely, it tells me that it can't be blank. It will default back. So if I move back and hit OK, it defaults back, right? So you do need to ensure that you do have something in that field. Otherwise, it will pull back to where you started. So that's where a universal starting point is really useful. Because with guides specifically, if the underlying HTML changes as you are navigating between accounts, so what does that mean in layman's terms, or if you're not of the MySpace generation where we all sort of low-key learned how to code, is take a CRM such as like Salesforce or Close or anything like that. When you're navigating between client portals, the underlying HTML changes for each unique instance. So having a universal starting point, such as the login screen, is perfect for guides within Supered. For the screenshots, you are able to do some edits here. So you can redact sensitive information. So if you have created like on your account and there are client names that you don't need your other clients to see, you simply just draw the box and it will redact the information. If the cursor isn't in the right spot, you want to move it just a little bit over so you can still read the word. You can move the little yellow dot. You can also zoom in on the screenshot itself. So if there's a very, very specific part of the screen that you want it to show and not the rest of the screen, you can zoom in. You can also zoom out using your mouse or your trackpad. We'll hit OK. Perfect. Beautiful. We love it. The other edits that you can do, you can delete out steps if you don't need them. So sometimes they can get a little redundant. It's like navigate here, click here. I don't need that. The images are self-explanatory. You can delete them out. You can also move steps up and down. So if one makes sense over the top of the other one, you can move it up and down. The other thing you can do is hide the Guide Me button. If you hide the Guide Me button, that will change so that it will turn off that in-app guidance. So in-app guidance, I had a client that called it follow the bouncing ball. So I use that all the time when I'm talking and teaching about guides is you follow the bouncing ball with it. That's what the in-app guidance means. You're able to turn that off if you just need it to be a static step-by-step guide. And what do I mean by static step-by-step guide? This is what I mean. It's static. It's not going to pull me into LinkedIn and do the follow the glowing box. Okay. Cool. Whew. So from here, let's talk updates. I haven't seen any questions come through, so we're good. So again, updates are ways that you can push in-page announcements where everyone's working. The teams at Supered that use them the most heavily is, again, our CEO, Matt Bullion, uses them. Of course, product uses them when they release a new feature within Supered that they need the team to be aware of before we announce it to our users so that if we get questions, we can answer them. And our marketing uses them when they're like, hey, we need you to post this on LinkedIn. We need you to promote this, things like that, right? Or can you go create something for us? We need content from you. Create them is pretty simple. You hit create, you can give it a title. The display type is how it appears on the screen. So the pop-up model is a pop-up like little box on your screen. And the banner's a lot quieter. So if there's something that isn't as important for people to know, you can put the banner at the bottom and it's there. It doesn't really disrupt. It's just there. I like pop-up model. You can change who it's sent by. So if you need to send it by an entire team, so such as marketing, people ops, C-suite, things like that. Or if you're sending on behalf of someone. So if my boss is like, hey, can you send this for me? I can change it to her name and put her name in there. This is where the body of that update will be. So if there is, this is our new feature, here's everything about it. Let us know if you have questions. You can put that in here. You can embed content. So if you have a video explaining something, you can embed that media right here. Other things with media is you can connect it to a card. I like to connect it to a card because it forces your users to see and interact with your update. So I'll just connect a random one so you can see it. You can also connect it to an external URL. One of the coolest ways that I've heard of other partners using updates is when their CS team, their AEs, get an account from their sales team, from their outbound sales teams. They will create an update to the AE team saying, here's this new, we have a new contract. Here's our website. Go familiarize yourself with them before you meet with them so that you're not going in blind. If you're a super partner, you have access to this partner button. You can push an update from your partner account to all of your managed accounts, or some of them. So you can decide which ones you want to do. It will let you add in your client accounts. So this is useful for that use case again of if you have created like a workflow that you're turning on, or an automation's going live, anything like that. You can create it at your partner level and push it to your managed accounts. Audience is where you control when it launches, how many days it's shown for, or if you need to restrict it to specific domains, you don't want it to show up everywhere. It only needs to show up like, on Gmail, right? Something like that. You can add in your restricted domains or your restricted paths. You can even get as granular as paths. I like launch date because maybe you have something that you want your team to work on in the following week. You can set it to launch for Monday morning at like 8 a.m. when you know your team's going to be on and working, awake. You can send it then. In analytics, data nerds, if you need to see who has interacted with it, who has completed it, snoozed it, all of that good stuff, it will show you that. Let me give it some stuff in here so that we can see a preview of it. So if I previewed it, this is what it would look like on anywhere that I have Supered active. It will pop this up upon the page reload. Gives me, my title, my sent by. If I had put media in here and then, the body of it, it also gives me this view card. It's that card that we connected. So I can't just complete it. I have to view the card in order to complete this update. And you can also snooze the update, which it would take you into analytics. So let's look at those. I don't need to save this. That's okay. I don't think I have any that are live. Oh, yes, I do. Let's go into this one. So our analytics looks like this. It will list your users when they first saw it and when they completed it. It also gives you a snooze count. So you can see if your people are snoozing it. If they say, hey, I never saw that, you can come in analytics and say, yeah, you did. Things like that. Okay. So that's updates. Whew. Very last thing I want to talk about is configuring your Supered account to how you want it to look. That lives in settings. So you can get to settings two ways. You can come to this drop down here, or you can click on, the Supered logo or your logo. If you're white labeled, it'll be right here. This is your settings. This is where you can configure where Supered is active. It's where you can invite users. It's where you can create team groups, permission sets live here if you need a reminder. Your billing lives in here. All sorts of good stuff, right? Your custom stuff if you need to do custom partner settings in here. So if you're a super partner, this is very useful to go through, to look at it, check it out. But let's look at extension. This is where you can add in where you want Supered to be active. Again, Supered is a Chrome overlay, so you're able to have it active wherever you have a website, right? So if you're using like a web-based application, you can have Supered active there to be able to embed content where your people are working, for them to be able to have Sidekick open at all times so they can check out the content and cards that you've created for them to better their processes, to remind them of how processes work. Yeah, all of that good stuff. Okay. So that is Supered in a nutshell. If you have questions, absolutely go ahead and ask us. I am going to drop the link for our community called Super Jam. It is a fantastic community where you can ask questions of the team. The entire team's over there. You can ask us anything. I mean, may or may not have an answer if you're asking like secrets to the universe, but you can ask questions. It's free to join. It has a lot of resources over there. So definitely hit us up over there. You can hit up the sales team if you are super curious and you're wanting to sign up for a partner account. The sales team is also over in Super Jam. So you can tag them directly and say, hey, I want to sign up. And they'll probably make their day. So definitely go ahead and sign up there. All right. Thank you so much for spending the last 40 minutes with me. Even with the technical difficulties. I appreciate your time. I know that there's a lot of drain on people's times lately, so I do appreciate and respect your time that you spent with me. And as always, of course, stay awesome, stay strong, and stay supered. Bye, guys.